Ladies and gentlemen, this is very important news, and it's very, very interesting, and it's actually a huge development. Sussmann's attorneys, according to an article in Law and Crime, are trying to block testimony from an FBI special agent. So they're saying, and this is really important, it's kind of amusing too. They're saying that, quote, now, a mere 6 weeks before trial, the special counsel has provided a perfunctory and legally deficient notice that he intends to call special agent, it's public record, but of the FBI, to offer highly technical and complex testimony at trial, including, at his sole discretion, on a topic that the special counsel has told the court he does not intend to put at issue at trial, namely the accuracy of the data that Mr. Sussmann provided to the FBI, as well as the accuracy of the conclusions drawn from that data. Sussmann's lawyers wrote in the Friday evening motion. This, of course, is nonsense. The accuracy of the data, in addition to the fact that he was paid by Trump's direct political rival to begin to start investigations using non-public data obtained through surveillance by manipulating an existing government contract so that the surveillance would go and continue up until, February of 2017 when Trump was in the Oval Office. So the attorneys for Sussmann, Michael Sussmann, the indicted attorney who was paid by Clinton to obtain utilizing the help of a tech executive and tech researchers, non-public cyber data and information about Trump, surveillance that included surveillance of his apartment, Trump Tower, and even the executive office of the president, utilize all that information to create this false fabricated narrative. Within their own messages, they say we have to appease VIPs. We have to appease the people who paid us. And, the narrative is not going to fly in the face of public scrutiny, but let's just go ahead and give the Bureau anything we can find to initiate those investigations. Those emails and text messages that Durham has cited, or the messages that Durham has cited within the factual background of the Sussmann indictment, are very relevant. Okay, the lawyers are saying, and you don't have to be this expert legal scholar. The lawyers are trying to tell the judge in this case, hey, John Durham is only indicting Michael Sussmann for lying to James Baker, James Comey's top legal counsel. So why on earth do you have a special agent here who's going to testify against Sussmann? A special agent of the FBI to offer highly technical and complex testimony at trial pertaining to the accuracy of the data. Okay, so he's very likely going to talk about how they utilized an existing government contract to obtain all this information on Trump through a bunch of unethical surveillance, possibly likely illegal, but Durham is going one step at a time. And he's going to explain this bureau, the special agent of the bureau, how, the wonderful bureau would never have initiated any investigation into Alpha Bank and possible communication between Trump and Alpha Bank servers were it not for Michael Sussmann obtaining all that information, but also lying to James Baker, because that's what the real issue was about. He told James Baker, the top legal counsel at the Bureau, that he texted, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. This is now huge news. He texted, I am not going on behalf of anyone. I'm not being hired or paid by anyone. I am going to help the Bureau, and I have information on Trump. So hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at 196,000. We're right there. We're on our way to 200,000 subs. Tell your friends about this channel. And this is a very, very important story. Okay? It's important because they got him on lying to the Bureau. But he lied because he was initiating an investigation with information that he knew and that everyone else knew was nonsense. They wanted to set up and frame Trump. That's the point. Everyone knows this. His attorneys, rightfully, he has good attorneys, saying, well, he was only indicted for lying to the Bureau. Well, then why are you bringing up everything else he lied about? Because that's part of the deception. He tried to deceive people at the Bureau. They were in on it also, by the way. James Baker knew very well. Comey knew very well. All of them. Strzok, McCabe, they all knew the Steele dossier was purchased by the Democratic Party and Clinton. They all knew this. James Baker almost certainly knew this. So Sussmann isn't lying in that respect. He would be better off simply saying, yeah, they were all in on it also. But instead, what Durham wants to do is pit the Bureau against Sussmann, the Bureau against Danchenko, the Bureau, Kleinsmith was part of the Bureau, so they had to protect themselves. So what Durham is doing is he's taking every intermediary, every person hired by Clinton and the Democratic Party, and he's saying, okay, you're over here, now we're going to either indict you for lying to the government or for fabricating information like Kleinsmith. But if you lie to the government, for example, in this case, the government's going to pretend that they didn't want to go after Trump. They were simply deceived and duped by operatives who were paid by Trump's direct political rival. They had no political reason for accepting all the information that Michael Sussmann gave them to investigate Trump with the Alpha Bank server, which was part of the entire hoax. That was a huge part of the nonsense. And you can look at servers. For example, the whole server story was there to take, obviously to take an emphasis away from Hillary Clinton's private servers with top secret intelligence, somehow transferred onto those servers for 4 years. Top secret and special access program intelligence. So Comey and Strzok and McCabe, they never explained to the world how Secretary of State Clinton was able to run servers outside of the United States government with people, servicing that computer hardware, and nobody knows how she was able to transfer top secret and special access program intelligence onto those servers. Nobody knows. The interesting thing is, you had that Alpha Bank story, and then suddenly it was Trump in a server communication. So they're not stupid. This isn't rocket science. The propaganda is, oh, look, Trump and his servers. This way you can forget about the actual cover-up of Comey saying, God, she didn't intend to utilize private servers for 4 years with top secret and special access program intelligence that somehow were transferred onto those computer networks running outside of the United States government, as she was using cell phones everywhere. And by the way, I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024 rematch. I pray to God every day, please, 2024, Clinton versus Trump, because we need to go through that again. We're still living in 2016. This is all 2016. According to the motion, attorneys under the auspices of Special Counsel John H. Durham never once suggested that they intended to call an expert witness to testify about the accuracy of data Sussmann provided to the Bureau in the lead up to the 2016 election. But now, apparently, those prosecutors want to do precisely that. The whole point, of course he's going to get somebody. He already got James Baker to testify. Of course he's going to get a special agent to talk about the technical the technical and complex data and the accuracy of the information that Sussmann provided. He provided information that was bogus, false. You know when you say democracy, Washington Post, democracy perishes in darkness. Well, democracy is not Trump's direct political rivals paying people to funnel lies to government agencies to have those government agencies investigate Trump. That's not democracy. But again, you see, here's an interesting, the reason we have the political reality we have in this country is because the Democratic Party has so many advantages, from media to social media algorithms to loyalists within the Bureau, within government agencies, within intelligence agencies. So everything now, you know who is going to interfere. And interference from Putin is always information about Democrats, whether it's Hunter's emails, whether it's the DNC cheating Bernie Sanders, whether it's any corruption within the Democratic Party. It's information detrimental to the Democratic Party that we find out about, but we can't find out from another country, God forbid. So Hunter's emails, for example, we couldn't talk about. The laptop from you-know-where, we couldn't talk about. That showed pay-to-play schemes, and that's what the Kremlin wants you to know. It's not the fact that that was a legitimate story published and broken by the New York Post. It was a legitimate story that should have been the topic of everyone's conversation. But now, after we know there's a federal tax probe of Hunter, then now we can talk about it because, it's 2 years after you know what. So that's the way they work. And John Durham is slowly, he needs the political will of the House and the Senate going to Trump Republicans. That's going to happen. We're going to have a devastating stock market crash, very likely before the midterms. And that'll be terrible. I don't want that to happen, but we have inflation now at 8? Closer to 9% probably. And if you look at the inflation, if it were calculated with the early 1980s formulas, it would be 15, 16, 17% inflation. Energy, everything is gas prices, food prices have all skyrocketed. Okay, you have all of these problems economically. We're going into a recession, 2 quarters of negative growth. Okay, we're going into a recession. All of these problems are taking place in terms of geopolitics, and you have to look at it. They set up and framed Trump. And now they're in power. The adults are in charge, and everything's collapsing. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. This is a huge development within the Durham Probe special.